Wilhelm gave us the secrets to the universe. I'm so glad you opened the video and that you were curious enough to listen or find out who Wilhelm was, because you might not even know that. And so I will tell you. In 1989, I sat down and started doing automatic writing and made a connection to consciousness, to universal consciousness. And that was who I began calling Wilhelm, which you may think of as your higher self or your guidance or whatever it is. But that is exactly what I started doing then. And I kept it hidden from most people because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why I was receiving this information, first of all, why it was making sense to me from this place that I couldn't understand, because we all have that deep memory of something that we're attempting to remember about ourselves or who we are. And I continued until it was exposed later in about 2008. And that was a pivotal time as well, because that relates to our world now. But I couldn't have known that. I couldn't have known what I was doing, just like you don't know what you have yet to do and what your potential is. That's all of us. And so the secrets of the universe are that you came to do something incredible and it's within you. So it's not really a secret, it's just how do we get there and how do we understand it. And as we change as humans, as we change as a civilization, we discover and learn new ways of doing that. And that's what Wilhelm gave me. But I didn't believe it. You might not have believed yourself, and especially now because you're being asked to do something more, to start to ascend to a higher state of understanding of who you are. We all are, because that's what the world is asking us to do. But if we don't own who we are, then everything that Wilhelm has given us just doesn't make sense. And that's because I couldn't believe myself, as you might have had difficulty. But there's a message that came through today. Today is October the 6th. And this will lead into what I'll tell you. Because what was shown to me, there are no accidents. Everything is aligned. The universe has an order. You had an order when you came in. It's part of your DNA. It's part of why you were born. And then certain people will give us ways of understanding that. I've talked about, Carl Jung, or we've talked about Maslow, I've talked about several different people. But me accepting that Wilhelm had done the next level of that was really a challenge, but that's what's happened. And I can no longer hold it back because our world needs to understand. This is what's going on in our world now is not accidental. They're energetic changes that are occurring, which is exactly what Wilhelm has given us. But the other thing that occurred was that it demonstrated through me that we're not limited by time and space. We hear about the quantum field and understanding how we can manifest from that place. Well, it's a process that we will move through individually. Not everyone will do that. But the more of us who do, then we start to create something very different in our lives, but also in our world. And Wilhelm gave us a way of doing that because they started showing me that everything was aligned. You were aligned when you were born. You came to do something and it's unfolding now. But accepting that can be challenging because we're moving through generational changes. And that's the other part that they told me. See, in 2021, when we were all moving through a big lot of stuff in our world, and I was told, Wilhelm said, we've given you everything you needed to know, and we did it in 2012. I said that could not have possibly happened. And then I found messages from 2012, and then I started understanding, oh, that was another time that we went through an energetic change in our world, and there are others. We went through it again in 2008, and so now we're at a culmination of that, meaning energetically, emotionally, whatever you're feeling is like it's coming up now for review, all of us. And so on this date, I will read one message to you because I want you to understand this, and I'm going to create an article so it'll be explained. Because this is the day that I have to move on and finish believing that Wilhelm gave us these secrets to the universe, because now I know that they're real. Because it's energy and it's how you can use your consciousness to manage yours. That's all that it is. This is the message. And it'll make sense to you today. All you need do is become willing to step forward. Now you see this was on October 6th of 2020. That will become important in all of this, okay? This message will be one of our most brilliant if we can get Roger to let it come through. We acknowledge his difficulty as we are sending through a lot of information, and just like you, he continually doubts himself or what he believes he is hearing. We threw that in because each of you has done this, and as we pointed out, you may be more likely to acknowledge the limitations you've placed upon yourselves. We are still speaking on the restructuring of your world, the United States, but ultimately you. You each are born with gifts and talents you deny, but you were supposed to do that as well. How could you possibly evolve in this life if you thought you had completed that evolution? Now, what most of you do, and your world is doing now, is resist change. The funny thing is, you don't recognize you are doing it, and it is right before your eyes. The surprising awareness we afforded Roger today was why we insisted on using the United States as an example. It is currently all on display, and the timing for evolution of your planet could not have been better. There is now an election coming in the United States, and each of you there will have to make a choice. You are making that choice in your life, and you only think you are doing so about a candidate. First of all, we must say that you need both diverging parties before you so you can make a choice about you. The choice is always moving forward or stay where you are out of fear. Now you understand the question you placed before you. We told you of an incident yesterday where Roger's roommate inadvertently had Roger's car, and we even told you the symbology of that signified Roger's forward motion in his life. Roger could not become angry, and that made him mad. Roger has known, and any of you who have followed us have heard our attempt to tell him that his job this time was to be love. You each have your role as he has had his, but you doubt yourself because it hasn't manifested. Roger planned a webinar for tomorrow, which he felt he was guided to do in his life. Weeks ago, we told him that you do not experience stress when you are performing your purpose in life. As Roger thought about the presentation tomorrow and felt his excitement, he knew that he was finally in the right place as there was no stress. Now he's made it his mission to help others. You understand that this time is true for them in this lifetime or another, no matter what they may think. The point of this message is you were born with a vision of who you were meant to be in this lifetime. You are receiving glimpses of that now, and you only have to step forward. That's the thing that started to happen, and I'm explaining now. I never attempted to even do channeling or anything like that, but what was revealed to me is that Wilhelm gave us everything to understand what was happening now, even the reasons that it was happening and why they used the United States, and they kept using me as a demonstration. And the thing about that anger and what I was moving through, that we're all moving through because we're denied parts of ourselves. Our world has done that. So in 2005, I had this dream that I was meant to bring something to the world that was going to make a difference at a certain time. I thought that couldn't be possible, so I put it away. I tried to hide it, and that's where that roommate came in because they brought it back to me. See, we hide things from ourselves because we don't believe it, and that's difficulty. We can't believe that thing that we're supposed to do or who we are. And I was given all of it, but I kept putting it away. Then it became so I couldn't do that anymore because now I developed a different ability. When people have done channeled messages, it's usually in this instant of, wherever they are, and that's how most channelers are, and I didn't fit in there, and I could never understand why. I didn't know why that was occurring or why I wasn't in the traditional spiritual communities before, because I was never there. Then Wilhelm revealed, because I was accumulating this work and this philosophy to bring to the world now, because it was going to help more people and it was going to help our world become what it could be. Because we had to deal with all the things that we weren't looking at within ourselves and within our world. And the first thing they did, which many people didn't understand, but now you might, they had me sit down and write an article about my racism and misogyny. And people, why are you doing that? Because we all have it, because we've all been affected by it. Until we decide that we're going to eradicate it from ourselves and from our consciousness, then we don't change and we don't offer to the collective consciousness what it could be. But most times we become afraid of that, and we don't want to talk about it, and we don't want to acknowledge it, and I had to acknowledge it. And then they said that because I acknowledged it, that's why I healed. And that's why this work can heal anyone. See, because it took me through all of my resistance, all the things I was afraid of, all the things I didn't want to deal with, and all the illnesses and diseases that were in my body, they started to go away. They started to ascend, is what the best way I can tell you, because it's all energy again. So when you come into alignment with who you are, then you start to understand things, you reach a higher state of consciousness, and you begin to heal in more ways than you can imagine. That's what this work does. And when I said to others that I discovered, I was given the most foolproof personal development plan in the world, because now I know it is, because there's no way all the information has been given. That's already been given to me. The answers to your questions have already been given, but we will need to look at it in a new way or have a different perspective. That's what we're always doing, and that's what we have to do in our world. And I had to be taken through this. And in the United States right now, which is really hysterical, we have some surprising things going on. And this is exactly why Wilhelm gave us this. They said, this philosophy says that all people matter. All people have value and something they're meant to bring to the world. That's why they said, I came to be loved, because we were going to have not a lot of people who were going to do something else. And that's a process of the evolution of consciousness of our world. If we don't understand that we're all the same people, we can't create the world that we want to have, and we still carry out grievances. And so what they had me do is to deal with those things, or to understand them from an energetic standpoint. They said you move through changes in your world, and it's always about a shift of power, control and power and money. That's what happens. And so we decide, how much are we going to allow ourselves to have? How much are we going to move through our generational limitations that have held us back from achieving the lives we could have, and also creating the world we want to experience. And if you look back at the world more than 110 years ago, you will see some of the conditions happening in our world then that are occurring right now. But they're also connected to the energetic changes, and that's the part that Wilhelm wanted us to all understand. Sometimes we are reacting to the changes of the galaxies that we have no awareness of, and that's what they started to show with all of this work. That's why they gave us the secrets to the universe. They said you were born at the right time with something you're meant to do, and it's before you now. And if you do it, you start to cause yourself and your life to become what it could be, and you contribute to the evolution of our world. That's the entire process, and that is the secret of the universe. And that greatest secret is you are here to change the world, and it comes through when you change yourself and become happy. That's really all of it. And when you see the message today, there's also a video there at the end where many of these things are in there with some little demonstrations, and I'd love for you to have that as well. That's how Wilhelm gave us the secrets to the universe and to your life.